Okay, so we're on about day 2, I suppose, maybe 3. So we've got all the floorboards up. To be honest, it went really well. The best things I could shout out is the multi-tool for cutting the grooves off, the tongue and groove. The tongue and groove going won't affect the integrity of the flooring because I'm putting insulation up underneath, so it's not as though it's going to cause drafts or anything like that. That's what the insulation's going in for. And also the 2 little jammy bars that have been really useful just to get those things, the floorboards up. It's been so easy that way. So that's gone a lot better than I thought. The unfortunate thing is we've discovered that there is several brick piers, which is obviously supporting the joists, have been, in my opinion, knocked down by some previous works, maybe plumbing, not quite sure, and not put back, which means in some places the joists aren't supported where they want. In fact, there's one joist has got 2 brick piers where it's not supporting, so therefore it's spanning about an 8 foot, and you can see the joist flexing. The reality is I'm also moving furniture around, so that all takes time, moving stuff around, just so I can work, as the conservatory is full at the back, as you can see. So that's all sealed off behind the bifold doors with the dust. I haven't created that much dust. The multi-tool doesn't create a lot of dust. That's one of the other advantages, I'll be honest with you. Jan will be happy when I'm finished. She's off to Amsterdam next week. I think she's quite happy to be going, to be honest. As I said before, some of the brick piers I noticed are collapsed underneath that support the beams. So the beams get bridged basically by brick piers as it goes along the floor, as it spans to stop it flexing. And some of those are collapsed or been broken by some work done, probably plumbing works that's been done. But this one here is in a right state because this one is at the end because it's about a 20-foot lounge, so there's 2 beams because you can't get a beam that goes all the way along, so they've obviously put a second beam in, and this one ends here. It's halfway along the lounge, as you can see, so we're about I don't know, 15 feet from the end there and 10 feet back that way. So it ends here, but the brick pier is collapsed underneath it, so there's nothing holding that. And at worst still is that pier there, I don't know if you can see, is also not supporting it. So that means there's nothing supporting this beam. It's flapping around. The only thing that's holding it up is the actually nails that's through the floorboards that's holding it up, which is ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and temporarily brace this together, clamp it together, because it's also got twisted over the years and I can't straighten that up. So I'm going to put just a bolt through this with a larger hole to try and bring it together first of all. Then I'm going to try and lift the beam slightly to make sure it's right under, because it's twisted, it's not quite touching the floorboard, and then I'm going to build the brick pier up to support it properly as it should be. So step 2, I'm just creating the brick pillars. I'm no bricklayer, as you can see, but I'm doing whatever I can is better than it was, just to put some support. So I built the brick up, and then I'll have to pack it with something a bit hard or solid underneath the beams where it doesn't quite touch the brick on it. Moving on now to starting to prep for the Celotex that's due to arrive. So I'm only having 70mm because the beams are only 100 anyway, and I need to put a rail underneath, so I've gone for 70mm Celotex. That arrives I think next week. So I've just started to create the rails. So I've got the wood that I bought that is about, I think it's 12mm by 28mm, I think. It's just enough to put a platform, but also seal so there's no drafts coming up the side of it. So I'm now starting to cut those rails to length so I can get them under the gaps in the floorboarding, and then they've got to be positioned 70mm down. Slight danger in as much as I'd like to get on with it and not wait for the Celotex, so I can just drop the Celotex in, cut it and drop it in. So I've created myself some little templates you'll see with pieces of wood that's actually exactly 70mm, and I'm just clamping those in place and then attaching the battens, the rails, to the beams. Then you can see I've created a template here. That's 70mm from the top, so that's the distance from the top of the beam, and I've just clamped that on just to do it. And then what I'm going to do is fix the rail now that's going to be 70mm up, and I'm just going to screw it in several places. So I'm going to fit the first one, just see if the measurements are right, and take it from there really. And then if that works, I think I shall start to put all the rails in, because that's going to take some time, to be honest. So the Celotex is on its way today. So I've got a delivery of 7 sheets of, I think they're 2.4 metres by 1.2 metres. So hopefully we can start putting that in today. I just hope I've got the rails set the right height, otherwise I'm going to have to unscrew them and reset them all, which would be a nightmare. So I don't think there's much give in Celotex because it's quite a solid material. So we'll see. And I'm just going to cut them into cubes and slot them in, but every cut's going to be different because I've noticed all the joists are all different sizes, widths, they're all splaying in and out, so that'll be an individual cut per cube really. So I've got the first few in. It's taken just a bit of time just to get my head around the best way to approach it. And the thing that's challenging me slightly is some of the beams aren't parallel, they're tapered, which means you can only feed obviously the insulation in from the one side. That's going to cause me a few problems in a few places, so I'm just going to have to patch as best as I can. I've made myself a little template to push the foam in. I want to try and make it as tight as I can. That's the key thing. But equally, it's no use being over tight and really struggling with it. So you just got to get that balance right with it. But it's going in, so I can see it's definitely working. The system's working. So this is my friend at the moment. I've just made a bit of a push rod so you don't break all the foam up. It allows me to push the foam in from underneath without breaking the foam up and get a good leverage on it. So that's really working quite well. Where I've got a taper between the beams, so maybe it's narrower here and wider there, what I'm doing is I'm marking the board where the beam is on both sides. And because the hole is generally about 500mm, so where I can put a block in, it's got to be 500mm, and then push it along. I'm having to just measure what the distance is, where the taper is, where it's tapered. So that's a bit of a faff, because if this was narrower here and lie there, I can only push it this way. I can obviously only go from big to small. So that means I'm having to push from quite a way up there all the way through. But it's working, so I'm gradually getting it there. It cuts really easy. Just a normal saw will go through it, a wood saw will go through it really easy. Kicks a bit of dust on, so you need to wear a mask and that. So I've just got to work my way through. Unfortunately, each piece is sort of measured individually. So one thing I forgot to stress and make a point of is that the insulation that's up by the window here, there's 2 air bricks on the outside, and it's really important that you don't block those air bricks because that's providing ventilation under the floor and to the joist. So if there's any moisture, it's drying the moisture out. So it's important you don't block that. So when I've put the Celotex up to the wall part, what I've done, I've cut it at a like a 45-degree angle, so it's tapering back from where the air brick is. So that means the air can still flow down into the cavity. It's really important you do that. So don't block those air bricks off.